So to unpack a lot of this, I could basically probably argue positive and negative to a 25 basis point cut and a 50 basis point cut. So that's the world we live in. And 2 months ago, I don't know if you recall, I said that the VIX in a presidential election cycle stays bid until that the election season is done. So we'll have to see how that plays out and about. But what do we got in terms of data from overnight? PMI coming out of, well, India just keeps knocking out of the park, right? I'm not sure why it's showing all this other stuff, but you see here, UK PMI final, these are final numbers as expected. We do have the balance of trade, but jolts, let's see what that looks like. So it's going to be interesting to see these job numbers, to see what they look like, or whether there's going to be a revision, whether the hurricane was what the issue was, or whether, well, hey, the economy is indeed softening. My concern, well, there's a lot of concerns, but if it's the economy stupid, then basically it's employment and then it's basically earnings, right? And so there's two things that have been, I think, propping up this market to the degree that because of the inverted yield curve, which we have, look, no matter how you slice and dice it, I know they're looking at the 210 slipping, okay, to positive, but look at the 3-month 10-year. That is so entrenched, okay, in terms of the inversion. It's really quite stunning. And I think they're going to get it wrong because they're looking at the 210 as opposed to 3-month 10-year, but regardless, we'll just have to see, how things play out in terms of this inversion. Just the dilemma is as follows. The capacity to leverage to the extent that we see creates shocks to the system, both positively and negatively. Okay, don't forget the leveraging works on the upside as much as the downside, but obviously it's escalated up, elevated down. We've seen this as, how this plays out. I still think overseas entities, sovereign wealth funds, countries will want to continue to sell our stocks to raise capital for their own economies, but also because of the election cycle that we're in. Don't forget, these guys have been in it since the early 2000s, right? And I also think that some of this AI sell-off, well, there's a couple of things going on, but I think the Middle East, don't forget that fund that Saudi Arabia built, right? Just for the AI buildup, right? I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. Industrial production out of Brazil as expected, so we'll see how things play out. The VIX should stay bid because the reality is, if you look in terms of our election cycle, we don't know. Okay. Guys, watch that ASTS. I posted a little bit earlier. I think it's going to have a move today. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. We do have earnings to speak about, right? There we go. VIX. We're starting to see more and more, well, especially in this set area of guidance being lowered. My concern is that we're going to start to see an earnings recession. That's what my concern is. I may be wrong. I'm back to the narrative of NVIDIA being the safety trade in the semi-cycle. as opposed to anything else. But irregardless, I did post that I added back um, a quarter back of my NVDL that I had sold last week, just so you know. Okay. Producer prices rise the most. Wouldn't it be a hoot if we get stagflation? I shouldn't say that. For 1 month low, and you can see here, crude's up, natural gas is up. Just, yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about deflation, what about stagflation? Just saying, leave that beside. Is it too soon to be talking about that? Just saying. Mortgage rates fall for fifth week, Bitcoin, yada, yada, European shares are down, Spain, well, there you go. Don't forget that gold, silver, these commodities should go into an important FOMC, which this is, because we have to look at the dot plot line in terms of what they're looking for, right? That doesn't mean that it doesn't go up, but you do have to be aware that it's something that has to be addressed. And this is what happens on these quarterly sides, right? Broken correlation between growth and value. The folks at Sentiment, this is what they came up with, right? 6 months for the factor. I mean, guys, this is only a handful of times, okay? 1950s, right? So what does that mean between value growth? Well, not a good luck, right? Anyways, I don't know what to tell you. Value stocks after value growth correlation is less than 70. It's the value stocks, actually, I'm sorry, that go up. Yeah, are we there? Are we there yet? We've been waiting for so long. Are we there yet? And you can see both go up, but value goes up more than growth. It's kind of interesting to look at, right? See what our friends over at the South China Morning Post are talking about. Cathay to the ground, form a must for investment hungry regions, Chinese news. Yeah, it's really interesting because when it came to the Belt and Road Initiative, was a visionary, right? I'm not exactly sure what his gig is right now. I mean, first off, the stubborn and stupid about, with COVID, like zero COVID construct. That was kind of like, what the hell? And then basically, not addressing the elephant in the room, right, which was real estate. And then not addressing the biggest elephant in the room is unemployment numbers for those up to their late 20s. I'm just wondering, good luck. Let's see what these guys have to say. While pre-market GitLab rises as clients sold equities for largest weekly outflow since 2020. Well, that's interesting. Okay, shares lower pre-market after actually reportedly get subpoena from DOJ. What are they going to do? Whatever. Once time is running out, as clashes with workers over cuts. Tech ball thesis unchanged. And, that's what, look, the reality is component markets will go up. The question is, are you in the right stock? Right? And it's going to be interesting to see whether this whole construct with small cap growth value, yada, 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 how that plays out and about, right? Fair territory, fair balance. Okay. So I have to disclose that I do have my hedges on, guys. I've been trimming them, but I'm still in stocks, techs. I actually added to my FNGD. I have a little bit of NBDQ, but QID, SPXS. I have a little bit of VIX still on VXX, just because of where we are in the cycle as well. some FAS. Um, keep, I don't think we're out of the woods in terms of the market. So here's my thought. So we've been talking about V. Now I'm saying, well, maybe it's an M, because the middle of the M is a V, which is bearish. But I'm almost thinking that we kind of have to, well, we'll see if we test those. We're still way above the August 2nd lows, right? You do understand that. I mean, there's a lot. Watch out ASTS, guys. It's almost up $1 since I shouted it out. But you know what I mean? It's like, okay. Still bullish on just by yesterday sell off. You know, I'm actually starting to think that, you know, NVIDIA. I'm just starting to think NVIDIA. I don't want to deal with some of these other names anymore. Look, I'm long the market. Okay, so I was hedged. I still lost money. I just didn't lose as much money. And once again, I find it a little bit disingenuous when people are never wrong. Okay, I really find that disingenuous. Okay, there's 100%. I can tell you right now, statistical probability that you're never wrong. And it takes I find it very silly when, well, as far as some people are concerned, they're never wrong. Well, guess what? That's not possible. There's no way for you to ever be not wrong. So yeah, I got smacked a bit. Even on the commodity side, no question about it. Do I think the gold silver narrative is dead? No, I don't. But you know, hey, I was caught off guard, so I got smacked around a bit. So we'll see how that goes, right? But I do think that there's this throwing the baby out with the bathwater sort of thing. And I am kind of stalking around like Dollar Tree, Dollar General. Dollar General is the one that I've done. And I'm not an SMCI, you know that. Right? Everybody has to know that I'm not an SMCI. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. So anyways, that's my story. All right, so this is something that Tommy in his overnight thing. It is from Fundstrat, okay? And this basically goes to seasonality, to the presidential election cycle, okay? And you can see here, right, how we've talked about in this past, how it does election years and S&P. What he's done is he's factored in when the S&P is greater than 10%. Okay, how many times that's happened? Well, guess what? It's only happened 4 times. Okay, but and then you can see here how it cycles up. This is election year in general. And don't forget, we've got 2 conflicting things, right? And we talk about this. Okay, we've got this for going back to 1900, right? In terms of the market going up during the election cycle. Then we've got this, which goes back 30 years, which incorporates, right, 4 election cycles, and they've been negative. So a lot of twists and turns in the story of life right now. So we'll see how things are playing out anyways. ISM report pretty telling, does with the negative outlook, yada, yada, yada. You know, I get back to the inventory construct, right? That a lot of stuff that we saw with GDP and stuff like that. There's been chatter that it was misrepresentation of the strength as a function of inventory buildup. I don't know. We're going to have to see it that. Okay, for pre-market. I happen to be index. Okay, it's kind of one of those that I kind of like. You know, I do happen to be in it as a swing. I mean, that's just what I've been in. And I haven't touched Dollar Tree, but I am in Dollar General. Yeah, I mean, pick your poison, right? But anyways, up 9.1% off its high. Yeah, okay. Okay, so, you know. The thing that was a red flag for me was S&P at all-time highs, right? And the Qs were making lower highs, okay? If indeed you believe that, you know, tech, right, build up, right? That's a red flag, So do we still have a preponderance of red flags, and those red flags? And I told you 2 weeks ago, well, South Beach and I both said, okay, that time to hedge, right? And I'm still hedged. That doesn't mean I don't trim. And if the market rallies, I don't, add back in, okay? I think that the market right now is at a point where I don't understand, I don't know the path forward right now. Until obviously we get non-farm payroll, then we have the FOMC, but then we have earnings. And this is the problem I have is I can argue both sides. Okay, if they cut 50 basis points, shit, the economy is worse than we expected. Okay, if they only cut 25 basis points, shit, they're really behind the curve again. Okay, so there's a lot of moments out there that are possible. So here's the truthflation down to 1.24%. So all this fear mongering in terms of certain things, but the reality is in terms of there are certain things, housing. Look, I do the shopping. I'm that person in the house, and I'm the child of a depression baby. Depression baby. So that tells you how old I am. So I'm old, and I comparison price shop and stuff like that. Prices going up, even at something like an Aldi's. I notice it that the staples are definitely going. Milk is definitely going up. Fruits, vegetables are going up. There's a lot of things that are like basic stuff. Butter, eggs, all that stuff that are going up, even in a discounter. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, yeah, but we'll see, right? AI is likely positive for employment. That's the narrative. Okay, unemployment rate. Well, yeah, India and Philippines, right? Worst day of the tech sector in almost 2 years. Ouch, right? Taylor rules for the U.S. and Canada have converged somewhat, but still continue. Slippery. Yeah, seasonality. Okay, well, we'll see. I don't know. Okay. So this is why I say when I get to this point, you take chips off the table and you hedge. And yes, I'm long. And I know that there's this narrative because this is a day trading room, but for those of us who also have, portfolios, okay, I'm hedged. I'm still long. So that means by definition, I'm going to be losing money. I'm just not going to be losing as much money. Anyways, Bitcoin, I don't know what to tell you. Let's see if this is going to be a big deal, right? And this is what we have, the 210 when it flips, right? It actually is bad. When the inversion uninverts, this is just, this is fact, okay? But I still don't know how the 3-month, 10-year, how that plays out. That's a stay tuned kind of moment because we have a record amount of shorts in the 10-year. And we have a record amount of longs in the 3-month, right? I don't know. I do not know. So it's kind of interesting, right? I think it's interesting. I will go. I do think that we'll get through this and then I'll talk about this is why, it was funny because I was talking about and I said it was SoftBank's PD bank. Well, God bless. That's all I have to say. Anyways, but whatever. US manufacturing, yeah, going down. Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, okay? I would love to see a fucking ass. Okay, this is my problem, okay? We don't really manufacture. Spend the freaking ass money and manufacture and make it attractive enough, okay? So that we can bring, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, selling off right, left, and center, even gold looks kind of heavy. Now, that's true. There's no doubt about that. This was NVIDIA last September, October, lots of noise. Okay, I understand that. Look, the reality is NVIDIA, is a long-term trade, right? Whether you like it or not. But we'll see how that goes, right? Okay. And the more and more I read, the more and more I understand that we'll see that of the semis, it's the one that has potential. It is the safety trade. I know that we've talked about other stuff, but a lot of these just didn't work out. So interestingly enough, I mean, basically I dividend puts. Right? So that's what we see. Did you know this is the cost of homeowners insurance? Texas. Look at this, guys. Oklahoma. Well, Louisiana, I understand. But no. Look at this. I just find this interesting. Right? This is the Reader's Digest version of why. Okay, how expensive it is here in the United States. Oh, this is actually North America, so this includes Canada as well. The cost, okay, of producing 1 ounce of silver is $19 in North America, 14 in Central America, right? This but we don't care about Asia, 8, and Oceania 9. So that's the story, morning glory, right? Look, I'll tell you, I think this should go up. This North America, but anyways, Asia top beer drinking, right? So daily wins, physical, mental, and spiritual. Okay, God bless. Philly, once again, quick amount of button sheet exceeds. We know this. Yeah, but there's a lot of that going around. I'm just saying. Right? Elements of even winning, the many technocrats, please show or whatever. So I don't know when BRICS is going to announce their their currency, I guess is what you would call it. We'll see. What you're going to call it. Right? Let's see. Anything else to do? No. See what our friends at Winsmont have to say. Highly acquisitive and trying to acquisitions. This is why I'm saying they're basically, see how it happens here. Look, stay in your lane. I mean, but whatever. Construction spending, oh, not good, right? Atlanta Fed GDP now coming down, right? You can see what the components are, right? That's what it looks like. We'll see. This is what the monthly looks like. So it'll look like we're done here on the downside. This is the Qs in the X section. So this is the Reader's Digest version when they're talking about AI, right? Reads a turning point. Yeah, I have some we'll see how it plays out. I do like, there's certain things that utilities, et cetera. I think that's going to continue to be an interesting narrative, right? See what he has to say about Trump. Oh, we have the beige book, so we'll see how that comes out. This is gonna be important, guys. FYI. For me, it is at least. Maybe the US County isn't going in the toilet, don't you make such short 10-year judgment? Well, shit, that's such a credit. We have a record shortener. No, duh. I mean, sometimes I find this amusing. Let's see what our analysts are saying. Oh no. We got a lot today. Meet him. Well, new guy, Julian, new guy. Yeah, indeed, of all these guys. Coors. I saw Coors that had some interesting call buying iron. A lot of people like iron. No question about Needham, but initiates as a whole, no price. Wolf, Taylor Wolf, obviously. Wolfie. See how that plays out. Yeah, Trade Desk actually got a Jessica stud at 83%. The buy. Interesting. God bless. We don't have a lot of studettes. Infinite by neutral, about 20% higher. I love it when they do that on that. And then we got my home neutral upgrades. See what our friends are saying today. In DAQ, I actually happen to be in a DAQ. It's looking pretty well, I guess. A-Lab, SG, Sweet Green Array. That's interesting. The right? Some juicy upgrades. I don't know why it's pretty juicy. Right? Seasonality. United Health. Starting to November. PNC. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of things lacking in this. One of that happens to be pain, right? P&G but this is about to end, so we'll see what replaces that, right? And let's see what our friends who well, they're gonna get it right this time, right? So basically 61.39 there for FOMC, and at the end of April, you can see what's going on here, right? They're starting to shift around a little bit to not as many. I don't know. I don't know. All right, so here we are. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. The problem is that we're at neutral still. Okay, and the other problem in the room is that this is not up to here. Okay, and then the other issue I have, yeah, that doesn't mean we can't bounce, but the other issue I have is that we still have a lot of red. Okay, on the screen here. Okay, so it's gonna be interesting, right? And then we've talked about the I mean, these aren't just red candles. These are really, deep red candles, right? And then you get that middle side, so that's why everybody's saying September sloppy choppy. I mean, there's a method to the madness, I guess. All right, let's see if we get the around here. Yeah, here's the yield curve. It's still, like I say, this has been going on, this inversion on the 3-month tenure. This is the longest since the 1920s, Great Depression. The inversion. The size is not, but the length of duration is. I'm being very specific in this regard. And you can see here, Canada rates are up, UK rates are up, Japan, Australia, and the rest are down. Right? Here we go. As you can see, still slowly, right? And this is what they said they would do, right? Slowly bleed that balance sheet, right? But you have to get all the way down here. I'm just saying, I mean, so that's only another 35%. Right? Here we are, right? Here's the 10-year. So wouldn't it be a hoot, since we have a record short in the 10-year, wouldn't it be a freaking ass hoot if it had a rip your face off rally to this upper quadrant? That would hurt a lot of people because we know that we've got a record short going on here, right? I'm just saying that would screw a lot of people, right? Here's the 10-20. Here's the 5-30. And here's an illustrious inversion, the worst of the worst. And this is what it was, believe it or not. This is Walker when he did his honey angling, right? And this is the longest. It's been 15 months since an inversion. So guess what, guys? I don't have the data all the way back to the 1920s, but I can tell you that it is reached the equivalent of the 1920, the Great Depression, 1920. The duration of the inversion. Right? So, yeah, just living the dream, right? So this is interest rates, obviously. Let's take a look at some of these spreads country-wide. You can see that. This is the UK, not much going on here, right? Here's the German rates now. Here's the dollar. Holding this bottom end, this is like 5, 6, 7 times. I don't think we're going anywhere with that either. Here's cryptos, selling off some more, right? Commodities, is that, whack-a-mole time, silver's up, gold's down, right? Platinum, palladium up, natural gas is up, copper up, you can see. It's maybe 50-50, I guess. Let's take a look here in terms of the markets. Obviously, some off. I still have my those SPXs that I told you about yesterday. And I'm in the 5520s. So that should be paying me nicely this morning. DAX, all that you can see how it is kind of coming in, right? IBOVESPA is slightly green, CSI, everything else is coming in. So here's the DAX. Here's the bonds. Here's the FTSE. Still hanging above that breakout, but it was a laggard, right? The small caps. Looks like it's going to be a fail on the monthly, just so you know. KWEB looking a little bit punkish right now. EEM of a quadrant look like that's going to roll over. Here's what let's just QQQ. This is what I like to look at. This is also gives us an idea in terms of what's going on with the when this comes down, it's a function. Statistically, high probability it's our Qs that are selling off, right? His VUG, that's still fine, right, within the range, but anyone noticing lower highs, right, on the monthly, right? See how that plays out, right? That's the growth. And there's a lot of money in this. Okay, why do I have so many? There's the DEA. See how that plays out. So we were talking yesterday. Why do I have it? And this is the thing that really, I think this is absolutely positively, shockingly big. Okay. This is the S&P growth value spread. It is the only one that never confirmed. That's shocking to say that, that never confirmed the breakout. I just think that's amazing. Here's XRT. So I know that Mav was asking about V bottoms. So let me show you okay, on the weekly. Okay, so this was a V bottom, right? And then I said, well, this V could become an M, right? And that's what it's starting to look like. There's a middle of an M, which is a bearish, not a W. I'm just, this is, that's the positive one. The M is a negative one, right? Whether you want to call it, I guess some people, but I look at it M's and W's, right? So this is starting to look like an M. And this is what we have to keep an eye on, right? Is to see whether we're breaking, whether we break that low from the beginning of August, right? WJ, sure. Okay. So basically, let's clear this up for you. All right. So basically, this low 30 is 36. Oh, that's the Nikkei. Sorry, let me get the Nikkei. Here we go. Sorry about that. You got your double top in place here. So let's do this. Then you have this midpoint right here. So this is your pivot right now. This double top, which is 69.73, and we're underneath it. Okay. And then basically we have this uptrend line as well. So to me, I don't understand why we're where we're at right now, but I think I agree with your thought process, Robert, on this in terms of I am still in EWJ puts, just so you know. Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying. It should get down to the 65 low, FYI. That's why I think that's a reasonable construct. Right? All right, let's take a look at the CRE. Okay, so this is the regional. So this is really fascinating. It's still actually holding above this breakout level. So your pivot right now, actually it's below it now. The pivot right here is 56.37. So keep an eye on that. You've got a triple bottom here. 56.09, 56.58. So just keep an eye on that. We have that, like I said, we have that monster candle in August. So a lot of these potentially just could be inside months for like forever and a day, right? Here's XLY. This is actually important because we have a failed breakout here of this triple top. That's 184.84. And that's the consumer discretionary, right? Where do we go? I mean, we could more than likely down here. I don't see us actually. Actually, is it up here? Let's see, how many points do I have on here? So just keep an eye on that. Here's XLK, right? So it actually, so a lot of these things I have to tell you, these are all these little red flags going on, making lower highs and stuff like that. But the real pentultimate is these triple bottoms, right here. Okay, so we have room, but last month's high low and we're an inside candle, right? That is the story. If we hold this triple bottom, if we don't, then obviously a lot of things can be interesting. And you can see here consumer staples are doing really well, and that's something you would expect. I am in consumer staples. And that should make sense to everybody. That I would be in that, right? So, you know, look, when I have red flags and I'm hedging, right? Up almost a buck and a half on ASTS on the shadow, because I think this is going to run today. I keep saying that, but anyways, when I'm hedging, I'm also defensive, so I would be in stuff that would be considered defensive stuff. That should make sense to everybody. Consumer staples, healthcare stuff. Tobacco, utilities, stuff like that. Here's the XLC. Look a little punkish, but you know, helps. Still fine. I mean, I'm not, you know, look, I'm still fine. And this is the thing is,
Already about ready to pop on here, but please finish the
oh, it's okay. I'm good.
Alrighty, guys, what's going on? Let me just pop the screen share up here. We'll get right into it. So, if you guys are new to chat and you're done, so make sure you click on that Discord link. That's email to you. You're gonna pop into chats and look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in. Click on that disclaimer section, give that a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section and scroll to the very top. Top of the section, you can see a link to the disclaimer, as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both in regards to risk reward, guys. Most important ratio in trading, so definitely worth checking out that in that regard. Continue to scroll down. We have the summary of how this chat works. Breaks down the channels work on the left-hand side, so you can probably navigate the chat through the day. Important so you know where to be looking. Oh. Scroll down. We have this how to read alerts on the opposite and equity side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below that, options rules that we like to use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts, etc., etc. Below that, SPX rules that we use every single day. Continue to scroll down. We have any with the small account less than 10K, break it down. If you do have a smaller account less than 10K, some rules, information, discipline we can put in place. You can better manage your account. How to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective. Below that, continue to scroll down to the pre-market ticker section. This is what we've got going on today, guys. So Tesla, NVIDIA, ZS, ASML, DLTR, WINT. What I'm looking at. So Tesla, NVIDIA gapping down, sleeping the market. ZS gapping down on earnings. ASML gapping down on earnings. DLTR, Daltrey misses by 37 cents, misses on revs. Guides Q3 EPS below consensus. Revs in line. Guides fiscal 25 EPS below consensus. Basically gapping down on earnings right there. Then WINT Therapeutics completes enrollment of its phase 2B study of istrioximine, and it's gapping up on that. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint today. So first two we're looking at, guys, going to be Tesla and NVIDIA. Let's have a look at those. All righty. So obviously a little bit of continuation from last day. So the downside here, pivot 208, unable to hold. So we got 204.85, 201.58, able to hold 210.83. 214.39. Right now, going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side, looking for a little bit of continuation lower. You are coming into a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders on the hourly as well as the daily, so we'll see how well that holds up. Not quite there yet. It's got a little bit more room, around 206.84. Call it 207, I guess, around that area. Keeping watch for. Let's take a look at this NVIDIA. NVIDIA might want to test that pivot there. Okay. The one thing that these charts have going for them, I guess, is they're all extended to the downside in the short term. But anywho, 106.88 pivot, unable to hold. 102.54, 97.52, able to hold 11.06 to 115.86 on the upside. Could be leading bearish if that pivot point's unable to hold. That's Tesla. That is the video. Screenshot these. Let's move on to the next. The next two guys, yes and ASML. The ZS pretty ugly on earnings, broke a lot of short-term supports. Pretty big move too. Pivot to the downside, 164.27, unable to hold 155.94, 147.39, able to hold 171.29, 181.09 on the upside. Going to be leaning bearish out the gate, looking for some continuation lower, and then we can watch for bounce, I think. ASML. And technically, a lot of these charts look very similar, right? So you got this head and shoulders. That's interesting. Gap area. Okay, that's all good. All right, so there we go. Pivot to the downside today, 827.78, unable to hold 798.83, 765.59, able to hold 849.40 to that 879.68 on the upside, going to be leaning bearish, looking for continuation lower for pivot points, unable to hold. Okay. That's ZS and that's ASML. The LTR went. All right, Dollar Tree guys, pivot to the downside today, going to be 72.69. That level's unable to hold. You got room towards 66.75. Below that, 60.10. Able to hold to 78.94, 83.70 on the upside. Maybe leaning on the bearish neutral side there today as well. Looking for a little bit of continuation lower, and then see what happens. This went. Levels. Below hammer yesterday, some liquidation. 52, or sorry, 522 pivot level, hold 653, 788, unable to hold 417 to 3. Gonna be leaning bullish out the gate, looking for a pop and topping to shorts. That is that. All right, let's take a look at the spine fang. Okay. I think that 50 MA, like I said yesterday, guys, is the magnet today, which could be good for a test. Pivot 49.20, unable to hold 50 547.46, which is the 50 MA. That level breaks 543.70. It opens up a little bit more of a gap. Able to hold 552.25, 554.59. Could be leaning bearish, looking for a continuation lower out the gate this morning, 547.46 test. And then I think we can get a little bit of a bounce. 4 EMA extension to the 50 EMA, pretty big bounce type of setup. So naturally, you should see a little bit of one at least. We'll see what happens in that regard. That's SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple, 221.70 pivot levels able to hold 223.09, 225.59, unable to hold 219.67 to 217. 64 on the downside. Leaning bullish only if that pivot can reclaim. If it can't, you're gonna be looking for continuation lower. Pretty big level for it there on the range side of things. Let's take a look at Amazon. $175, 27 pivot level holds 176.50, 176.92, 178.23. Unable to hold 173.79 and 172.52. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side there today. Keep an eye on this little uptrend there. That holds. I think you can get a bounce on Amazon. Take a look at Netflix. Netflix pivot 676.58, unable to hold 662.39, 648.58, able to hold 692, 28 to 779 on the upside. And that is Netflix going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side there today, looking for a hold of that pivot, bounce back up. Had some pretty decent holding strength given the move lately on this, and then Meta. A little bit of an uglier look here. Meta 508.51 pivot, unable to hold 509, 487.46, able to hold 515.78, 526.11 on the upside. Going to be leaning bearish if that pivot point's unable to hold. Last but not least, pivot 156.50, able to hold 157.72 to that 150 989, unable to hold 154 79 to 150 24 downside. Maybe leading bearish on Google. So that's spots of angles, the individual names I'm looking at, guys. Gonna go to pass over to South Beach. White type the pre-market action plan up. Then we'll do a quick little recap for the open. South Beach, Freddie, should play yours.
Hey guys, okay, let's see the damage that was done in the indexes yesterday, see if it's gonna scare us out of anything. So I'm looking at the S&P chart first, and yeah, it had a really shitty day. Volume was kind of moderate, but it might be because of the calendar. A lot of people didn't return back yet. I saw a lot of people, I know a lot of people are out this week. You know, a bunch were out last week, and the remainder took this week off. So it looks as though, you know, it's a little heavy, but like I said, the weekly is the predominant indicator for me, and it has full support of all the moving averages, 10, 17, 30, and 10, 17, 50, 100, etc. on the weekly. So it looks okay. Only concern is that, this what level is that, like 562, 3? It's stopped there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So is that going to be a temporary ceiling? Maybe. But It looks okay technically at the moment. And my oscillator, just for the record, guys, it didn't move that much. It was plus 11 coming into the yesterday, and it's minus 12 now. So you can see the difference. All right, let's look at the NASDAQ. Now that one looks a lot worse than the SPYs, weirdly enough, okay, because the overlap is extraordinary. You're going to have a 1017 cross in the daily, probably, today or tomorrow. Just because of the size of the move. So it has no EMA support. It went through the 10, it went through the 17, it went through the 50, and it looks like 1017 is going to cross. Now we saw that before, right? When we had that downdraft in, what was it, the beginning of August, late July, whatever it was. And it really actually went into something. We never got a sell signal in the weekly, so I was never overtly bearish. This time on the weekly, it looks like it broke the 10 and it's probably sitting on the 17. That has the highest chance of crossing that I've seen in a while. We'll see what happens. Before, that July, August sell-off, it wasn't even close. Okay, so we'll see if this has a little momentum, more momentum in the downside. I don't think it will cross this Monday, but probably the following if it stays nasty. So that's my take on that one. The Russell, is a sideways thing, and I'm not too keen on it. Haven't been in a long time. I think the transports are not a investment vehicle, but a trading vehicle. So that's where I stand on that. Okay, so that's the technicals. Okay, let's look at what's going on in the bond market this morning. So bonds are relatively unchanged. The 10 years down at 383, which is kind of like the low it's been since December, or thereabouts. So the bond market has weakened somewhat, and the yield on some of these short-term paper, the 6-month was trading at what, 5% or so. Now it's 480. Actually, it was 540 at one point in June. So it's come in quite a ways. So they're pricing in, it looks to me like 75 to 100 basis points, maybe more. So I don't think there's a lot of room unless we get a really bad unemployment number on Friday, which would tip the scales of what people are looking for in the next bond meeting. So right now, 59% are thinking a quarter of a point move, and 41%, which is the highest I've seen in a while, are looking for 50 basis point move. And I guess that number will flip-flop if Friday is a weak employment numbers. Okay, so we'll see how that is. And then we had that purchasing managers index yesterday, which caused all kinds of angst, I would say, because this hard landing scenario is definitely more out there than it was 2 weeks ago. Let's put it that way. So we'll see how that plays out. That's the story with that. So that's the bond market. Let's see what else we got. So the bonds are down a little bit. They're down a little bit in UK as well, about the commensurate with ours. And the rest of the Eurozone, the bond yields are down slightly more than ours. Okay, so that's your bond market. Let's look at commodities. So oil continues to drift lower. So that 70-80 trading range is held true, right? It looks like it may break 70. I guess that would depend on a lot of geopolitical kind of things and weather, but we'll see. Natural gas is, traded up a little bit, but it's been dog shit. Gold is hanging near the highs. Copper is trading down a little bit, but holding that 4 level. And all these other commodities are kind of, who gives a shit? Dollar is up against North America, down a little bit against the yen and the Chinese currency, but only slightly, and basically flat against the euro and the pound. Let's look at crypto, which is kind of acting kind of shitty lately. We've had Bitcoin down 2.5%, so it's gone from what, 72,000 to 56, more or less, the bottom of its trading range. We'll see if it breaks it. Ethereum, more or less the same kind of chart. It's sitting on its support level. If it breaks it, my guess is it goes lower than that. And Solana's down 2%. Ethereum was down 2% too. And let's look at the foreign markets. Okay, so these markets don't have tech like we do. So the FTSE is down 0.5%, DAX slightly more than that, and the countries that do have tech, they're taking it a little bit more on the chin, right? So Japan is down. I don't know if it's the Japan carry trade or what have you, but that's down 4%. I would think it's a combination of both those things. China is just dog shit, and Taiwan is down 4.5%. Okay, so there's your wrap up on that. So let's see what we have. Banks and Fed, we have that big meeting on Friday. We'll see how that hard landing scenario kind of takes hold. We'll see what happens there. China, Russia, the same old shit with them, but we'll talk about those two in a minute. Crypto, we got Mr. Market yesterday. Pretty ugly day, actually. Dow was down, 1.5%. NASDAQ was down 577 points, 3.2%. The transports continually stink. They were down 1.2%. The Russell was down 3%. The SMHs, this was the key, down 8.2%. NVIDIA was down almost 10%, 9.9%. And then you had group-wise, it was the obvious. The high beta names are the ones that got hit worse. Consumer non-durables and HMOs were strong all day. Semis, high PE tech, material stocks were weak because of a slowing economy. Gold and silver was weak. High PE tech, big oil and gas. So a lot of high beta stuff, and then you had some other stuff thrown in. So the market seems a little tenuous. It's the calendar, it's the election, it's a lot of stuff. And then after the close, you had that NVIDIA news that our government, in their infinite wisdom, is subpoenaing them for antitrust investigation. What's really strikes me is that China is probably willing to go to war for a company like NVIDIA, okay, with Taiwan, et cetera, et cetera. And all we do is beat the shit out of our great companies, where we should kiss their ass till the cows come home, because this is what propels the U.S. economy, tech. So some more bullshit. I guess they should subpoena Lilly and Novo Nordisk because they own 100% of the GB1 market also, right? For antitrust violations, because they came up with a great way to, people to lose weight. So NVIDIA came up with a great way to, attack the chip business and get us closer to, AI and whatever else, we're doing. And we go in and we beat the shit out of them. I think it's a freaking disgrace. Okay. I mean, they just will refuse. And, I don't know if you guys know Jay Clayton. He ran the SEC for, I think it was under Trump. Really smart guy, really well-spoken, really looks at things from a different angle. And they were talking to him on CNBC yesterday. And he was saying that he thinks what makes America American and what makes us superior to all these other countries as far as tech and acquiring new ideas and new technology, and for whether it's in medicine or technology, computers or chips or whatever the fuck it is, it doesn't matter. His argument is because of our tax structure. The fact that the government, if you have capital gains, you can make a bet and that the government's going to pay half the freight. So he says it's the tax structure. So he's very concerned about raising taxes and all this stuff with taxing capital gains prior to you selling and all this other stuff. And he says what it'll do is it'll destroy the American advantage of, people throwing money at new ideas. And I think that's a very poignant point. And you should watch the interview if you can. Whenever he comes on TV, I make a point of listening to him because I think he's such a smart guy. And I think you should too. So anyway, I think I never thought of it like that. I invest like that, but I never thought of it quite in terms of the tax structure, and I think it's worth listening to. So if you want to, be my guest. So that's the story. And there's a lot of talk out there that this NVIDIA story leaked yesterday. That people, a lot of desks knew about it, and that's one of the reasons that they had this huge sell-off yesterday, and the reason that it's only down $1.50 today, because everybody, a lot of people probably knew, and they covered on the news. I can't say whether it's true or not because I didn't hear it, but I think it's the way the stock is trading. I believe it. Okay, it looked like a Stevie Cohn trade to me, guys. It really did. Just short the living fuck out of it and cover it on the news. So that's the story about that. All right. Let's see what else we got today. India's leaders going to Singapore, big deal. Tom Lee is actually sees a little turbulence ahead for the stock market. Sees a pullback could go to 7 to 10%, and it would be a major buy opportunity, is what Tom Lee is saying. And that's him. I told you about Jay Clayton. I think he's really great. New York City is basically their taxi and Uber business is insured by one company, and they filed for insolvency yesterday. So you got a lot of cabbies and Uber drivers without insurance. And I think that's a big problem. Someone's going to have to step in, whether it's the state or someone else, before they can take a passenger in the car. Otherwise, it's going to be a real mess. So that's the story there. China PMI came in weaker than expectations. Okay, China's just a freaking mess. That's one of the reasons I'm scared about a geopolitical event from these guys, because a caged animal only knows how to lash out, and if things get worse there, and I'm not saying they will, I think the odds of a Taiwan situation is higher, and yet we go after NVIDIA, so go figure. Russia, third major attack in as many days. After, all the stuff with Ukraine getting into Russia, that place is as nasty as can be. This Austrian plot at the Taylor Swift concert, they found yesterday bombs and chemicals to be used to the people who were going to the concert. So I think whether it's the CIA or the FBI that uncovered this, kudos to those guys. The deputy chief of staff for New York Governor Hochul, this was really kept under wraps. She is a spy for the Chinese, the claim is. I'm sure it's probably true. And that's the story with that. GM is doing a near-term financing, raising money in a bond deal. But what's interesting is they're buying back tons of stock. So you got to think that why would you do a bond offering? Let's say, what do they have to give people for a bond in this environment? Probably 6.5%, 7%. So they think their stock to buy it back, because they're buying it back hand over fist, is a good, they inherent in their thinking must be the stock's going to go up 7%, right? Or more. Otherwise they wouldn't do the trade. So it tells you what they're thinking, which I think is pretty eye-opening. Okay. Ed Yardeni, he's cautious near term. He likes the market long term. Thinks we close above 5,600 or whatever, 6,000, and maybe he's saying, I don't know, but he's pretty much always bullish, but he's been right. So whatever. Kathy is her new DNA stock is this RXRX. She's buying the shit out of that. She watched DNA go from whatever it went to zero. So she's betting the ranch on this one. And this Nippon Steel deal, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me, because Cleveland Cliff is trying to buy them. They'd control basically all the capacity for a certain type of steel in this country. And Nippon Steel is saying they'll operate it as a U.S. company. And these are our allies. How do you tell them to piss off? It's not like it's China buying them, or, Russia, or one of these knuckleheads. It's Japan. I mean, probably our best ally in the Pacific. So I don't understand, but whatever. That's the story with that. Moving on to individual names, we got good earnings in Gut Lab, Curve, HLX, Dix, Sienna, HQY. This ASTS that I'm involved in got some positive data from a released interim data. That was positive. AMD hired this veteran AI guy, and that's why that stock is up versus the group. A-Lab got an upgrade from Morgan Stanley. Couple of biotechs had positive news: Aura, Clove, MGX, ATHM, RYAM. On the short side, the numbers there are a lot bigger on the short side, right? You got ZS is down a bunch, Ascend is down a bunch, PagerDuty, Asan, Dollar Tree getting smashed. You know, the CEO of DG that did a fantastic job went to Dollar Tree. I think this is a stock to watch when it stops going down, because he's probably throwing in the kitchen sink here. Rev G was bad, GPK. Starwood is doing an offering of 17 million shares. ATHA missed top line results. NVIDIA, I told you. Intel, poor Intel. They submitted a chip for a joint venture with Broadcom, and Broadcom said it didn't meet their specs. The only thing that means is AMD, as bad as you think, I mean, Intel, as bad as you think it might be, it's worse. These guys are just have their heads up their tuchus, and God knows what's going to take to get them out of it. It's just a mess. And on that note, I'm starting to order at a time, but you get the drift. We'll see what happens. I think the key to the market is NVIDIA, clearly, and we'll see how it trades. Okay, and that's it for me. Spartan, it's all yours.
Alrighty, thank you. So I'll do you guys morning. What's up? What's going on? So if you guys are new to the channel, done something, you should click on that Discord link that's emailed to you. Pop in the chat, look something a little bit like this. First area to go to when you guys do come in, disclaimer section, give that a read, as well as go to the new to chat information section and scroll to the very, very top of the section and link to the disclaimer, as well as this bolded risk reward section. Super important to understand both. In regards to risk reward, guys, most important ratio of trading, so definitely worth checking out that in that regard. Continue to scroll down, we have the summary of how this chat works, breaks down the channels work on the left-hand side, so you can pop it down to get the chat throughout the day. Continue to scroll down. Summary, or sorry, how to read alerts on the opposite active side, breaking down how to read alerts on both sides. Pretty straightforward in that regard. Below this, options rules, I would like to use Monday to Thursday in regards to controlling risk, scaling in, scaling out, trading different price contracts. SPX rules are right below that. Continue to scroll down, we have any with a small account less than 10K, break it down if you do a smaller account less than 10K. Some rules, information, discipline you can put in place, you give out a your account, how to pick ideas from an options or equity perspective below that. All right, pre-market tickers on watch, guys. What do we got going on today? So if you guys are watching the YouTube stream, you can simply just pause the video and read these little blurbs for the open on these individual names that we're looking at. And I'll scroll up, all the rest of the charts are posted. What are we looking at today? So Tesla, NVIDIA, ZS, ASML, DLTR, Wint. Tesla gapping down and saving the market, same with NVIDIA. ZS gapping down on earnings, ASML gapping down on earnings, DLTR down on earnings as well. The fiscal 25 EPS was guided below consensus and revs as well. And then Wint Therapeutics, it completes enrollment of one of their phase 2B studies. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint in today. So first two, we're looking at are Tesla and NVIDIA. Let's have a gander. Tesla 208 pivot level holds 210.83, 214.39, unable to hold 204.85 to 201.58 on the downside. Going to be leaning bearish if that pivot point's unable to hold. NVIDIA pivot downside today. Going to be 106.88, unable to hold 102.54, 197.52, able to hold 111.06, 115.86. Going to be leaning on the bear side if that pivot point's unable to hold as well. ZS, ASML. ZS pivot to the downside today, going to be leaning bearish if that 164.27 can't hold. Room towards 155.94, 147.39. Able to hold 171.29 to 181.09 on the upside. ASML, same thing. 827.78 pivot downside, unable to hold 798.83, 765.90, able to hold 849.40 to 879.68, leaning bearish if that's unable to hold. Let's take a look at DLTR and Wint. DLTR, guys, pivot to the downside 72.69, unable to hold 66.75, able to hold 78.94, 83.70. Wint pivot 522, level hold 653, 788, unable to hold 417, 319. Yeah, downside there. Let's take a look at the spine, the FANG. SPY 549.20 pivot level holds. 552.25, 554.59, unable to hold 547.46, 543.70. Gonna be leaning on the I should type this up actually. So SPY 549.20 pivot to the downside today. This level is unable to hold. From lower into the 547.46. Support breaks. We see the 543.70 tested. Pivot holds. Room higher. Into the 552. 25 resistance breaks. We see the 554.59 tested. Leaning bearish if pivot cannot hold. I've been so it's all about that pivot there for me, guys, on the market. So we'll see. I mean, it's holding right now. I would like to see actually a little bit more of a bounce up the gate, and then if we roll over, we'll roll over. It's a little bit extended from a 4 EMA standpoint on the downside, which we'll take a look at right out the gate. Apple, guys, pivot to the downside today. 221.70 up, unable to hold 219.67, 217.64, able to hold 223.09, 225.56 on the upside. Going to be leaning bearish if that pivot's unable to hold. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon pivot to the downside today. Going to be 175.27, unable to hold. 173.79, 172.52, able to hold 176.92 to 178.23 on the upside. Netflix. Excuse me. 676.58, able to hold 692.28, 779, unable to hold 662.39, 648.58. Going to be leaning bullish neutral only if pivot can hold there. Meta pivot downside today. 508.51, unable to hold 509, 487, able to hold 515 to 526. Google. Pivot to the downside today, 156.52, unable to hold. We got room towards 154.79, then pretty big gap to around 150.24, able to hold 157.72, 159.89, going to be leading bearish there. VIX, Qs, and IWMs, my friends. All right, VIX, what do we got, guys? So 22.49, level holds 23.65, 24.77, unable to hold 21.20, 20.22. Not leaning any particular direction there. QQQs. Pivot to the go to the daily chart. So you get the 50 EMA break there, yes, flag broke range. Pivot to the downside, 459.43, unable to hold 454.41 to 449.24, able to hold 465.09, 468.97. The upside, going to be leaning bearish if that pivot point cannot hold. So see what happens in that regard. All depends with the semiconductors. If they start bouncing out the gate, and then obviously you get a bounce there too. But if not, you can get a continued sell-off. SPX 54.84 pivot level holds 55.18, 55.61, unable to hold 54.45, 53.98. So what happens there? Again, 50 MA. If you get a little bit of a bounce off the gate, I get, my guess is it gets tested. Or if you get a sell-off up the gate, my guess is it gets tested as well. And you get a little bit of a bounce off of it. All right, so that is that. Should be an interesting day. Range, we're gonna have some of that for sure. Yeah, we'll kind of just go from there. It's gonna play it by what we're seeing on the charts, etc., etc. You know how we do it. All right, so that's it, guys. If you guys joined us on the YouTube stream, thanks for popping in. We do this every single Wednesday, and yeah, see you next week. Stream all day. So